International Channel Sport on Sunday. And like we are saying, yes, there was a new development during the week. This thing started 4 years back when the Migratory team came back from the World Cup in Brazil. And a lot of things did happen. Buying form, printing of just one ticket, and then some people went to court. At the end of the day, elections were held, and then a group said, no, we're not taking part of this election. Others went ahead and did that election. FIFA observers, everybody were involved. And then another group now said, okay, that election is valid. Others said, no, it is not. Another election was now done in Warri. They put Pinnick, and the other group went to court and said, no, you can't be doing that, or stopped it before going, and that is where we are today. 4 years on, we are still battling about the issue of legitimacy of the NFF presidency. This matter had not gone to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court. So, under normal circumstances, the tenure of the Amaju Pinnick-led board would have ended as the moment they come back from the World Cup. But where we are, probably we say after 4 years we have an illegitimate president board, or we'll just say fine, it was legitimate. And if it is illegitimate, or if they say disclosing null and void, what will not happen to the next? But that is the post one. What we are trying to do is that the Supreme Court made a pronouncement, and then both parties, the party to Amaju Pinnick and the party to Chris Giwa, says this is our understanding of what was said. We do not know. But first of all, let us see what came out from Festus Keyamo Chambers, who are counsel to Amaju Pinnick. They came out with a statement, earlier on during the week. We shall talk to them later today on this show live. But then let us look at what the statement read. They said, okay, just this morning, the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered judgment in appeal number this between Yaha Adama and Aminu Megeri and 3 others. The summary of the Supreme Court judgment in plain language is that the complaint of Giwa and his supporters should be taken back to the Federal High Court so that they can be properly heard and the case determined one way or the other. So the Supreme Court overturned the decision of the Court of Appeal, which struck out the case of Giwa and his supporters that they should not be heard at all. The Supreme Court did not remove Amaju Pinnick from office. The Supreme Court did not also sack the NFF board from office. In fact, the Supreme Court specifically refused the prayers of Giwa and his supporters that the Supreme Court should determine the whole case and remove Amaju Pinnick from office under Section 22 of the Supreme Court Act. This press release has become necessary because of the fake news being peddled by Giwa and his supporters that the Amaju Pinnick board has been sacked from office and he has been installed. No such thing happened at all. The public should be properly guided. So this is what came out from the chambers of Festus Keyamo SAN. And then the Giwa group now said, okay, let us also enlighten ourselves. And I want to soon we shall get in touch with Barrister Chinedu Eze. He is one of the counsel representing Chris Giwa. Before gentlemen, while we are waiting for us to link up Abuja with Barrister Chinedu, Jimmy, what do you make of this?
Well, you ask yourself, are these not distractions, especially going into the World Cup period, where, of course, we are 46 days away from the World Cup? You ask yourself, is the coach going to feel distracted? The players, they begin to ask whether the administrators themselves are settled. How do you begin to restore confidence in the players so they know they have to do the nation proud? We knew that this was going to happen. We knew that there was a case, but a lot of people had actually forgotten, thinking that it had been, trashed into the bin. But now that we have this, what I think is that there's a retrial ordered. It's subject to interpretation. Every side will pick its own, narrative and tell the whole world this is what they feel. But I feel from what I've read, there is a retrial that the Just High Court now has to go through and, begin to look at how the agreement between the two parties, had been flouted. Because that's about the major crux of the matter, that there had been agreements between the two parties that will come, together, would, abandon whatever our angst had been, then we can forge ahead. That's how Amaju Pinnick got legitimized, because the president of the nation was, said to have been interested in the matter, intervened, and now said, look, I need the two parties to be united. We need to have a united front.
All right. I'm being told that we have a Barrister Chinedu Eze on the line. Hello, Barrister Eze.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Please, can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Okay, my name is Barrister Chinedu Eze.
Yeah.
I'm part of the legal team that conducted the case for the Chris Giwa-led faction. And I was also present in court when the Supreme Court delivered their judgment on the 27th of April 2018 on the NFF issue.
Okay. So can you brief us on what you understand by the decision taken by the Supreme Court?
There's been a lot of misinformation in the general public. So we think that to really understand the effect of the judgment of the Supreme Court, one must look at the facts that gave rise to the appeal before the Supreme Court. In the first place, it is not in dispute that around November 2013, the then General Assembly of the NFF convened a meeting, a Congress, General Congress, wherein they agreed to conduct a Congress to elect the new executives of the NFF on 26th of August 2014. That was the following year. Also in that meeting, it was agreed by the NFF General Assembly that one Mr. Amoni Jambo was appointed the Electoral Committee Chairman to conduct the said Congress of August 26, 2014. So, this being the agreement, on the 26th of August 2014, in fact, before then, on the 25th of August, that is the day before the scheduled Congress, the Aminu Megari-led faction, Aminu Megari tendered his resignation letter to the NFF and resigned from office on the 25th of August 2014 in view of the forthcoming election to elect the new executives on the 26th. So, as Richard wrote on the 26th of August, the NFF Executive Committee Congress was held as scheduled in 2013. It was held, and in that meeting, Ambassador Chris Giwa was elected the president of NFF in the meeting of 26th of August 2014, following the resignation of Adamino Megari executive. So, following his election, the Amoni Diambo, who was then elected the Electoral Committee Chairman, even communicated to FIFA, letting FIFA know that the election has been conducted and that the Ambassador Chris Giwa-led executive has started performing functions as one of the executive committee of the NFF. But, however, despite this election, this committee got wind that there was efforts being made by some persons to conduct another executive committee congress after the election had been conducted. In the case of conducting another election, when there was already an executive, the Chris Giwa executive was already on ground. So this being the fact, the Chris Giwa-led faction now filed an action in court at the Federal Court of Judge Division. They filed an action before the Federal High Court on the 19th of September 2014. And together with the action, they filed an application for interim orders restraining any person whatsoever from conducting a second Congress election, since there was already one conducted on 26th of August 2014. This order they also included an order recognizing the Chris Giwa elected executive as the executive pending the hearing and determination of the main suit. These were interim orders that were made in the interim. And on the 19th of September 2014, the Federal High Court judge granted these orders as prayed. These orders were duly served on the members of the executive of the Aminu Megari faction, which had resigned from office and left office. The order was served on them, restraining them from conducting another Congress election. Now, despite the service of these orders of court on them, these persons proceeded and conducted the election in flagrant disobedience of the subsidiary orders of the Federal High Court. That election was an election where some persons were said to have been elected. The current executive of the NFF as of today were elected pursuant to that Congress that was held in disobedience of a subsidiary order of court. This now prompted the Giwa-led executive to go back to the court to say, Your Lordship, this is a court of law. When this court has made an order, whether the order is stupid, whether the order is incompetent, whether you have any problems with the order, the law under Nigeria requires you to obey before complaining. That since the Lordship made this order, and these persons went ahead to conduct this election in disobedience of court order, that the court should set aside the convention. That is the law. Till tomorrow, the law is that you cannot disobey a court order and go scot-free in layman terms. So, upon hearing the application, together with the application for contempt proceedings, the Federal High Court now made an order on the 23rd of October 2014. On the 23rd of October 2014, the Federal High Court set aside the election conducted by Alhaji Aminu Megari Fashion, from which the present executives were elected. It was set aside on that day, 23rd of October 2014. It was when the order was set aside, and these other factions, the current executive, noticed that they were without any foundation. They then approached the then President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, to intervene in the case. The President then called the Giwa faction and pleaded with them to withdraw the suit so that the matter would be amicably settled out of court. That there was no need going back and forth in the case. Now, if the President of the country met you and begged you for a favor, I don't think you would refuse. So, based on the President's directive, the Giwa faction withdrew the action from court, and in the hope that they will amicably resolve the dispute, as agreed. Following the withdrawal of the case, nothing happened. Fortunately, everybody abandoned the Giwa faction. Everybody ran away. They made a mess of the whole thing. The president lost the election, and the Buhari government came into administration, and nothing was done to resolve the matter. So the Giwa faction, now being helpless, went back to the Federal High Court, Just Division, to say, my lord, the proposed out of court settlement, by reason of which we withdraw this action, has failed. And then prayed the Federal High Court Just Division to release the case and restore all the previous orders made by that court. This is very important. The prayer was not just to release the case. To release the case is to bring back the case back to life. Then there was a second prayer to restore all the previous orders made by the Federal High Court in the proceedings, including the order taken aside the Congress from which the present executive emerged. Again, in accordance with Nigerian law, the trial court, Federal High Court, considered the application. The Aminu Megari faction from which the executive emerged opposed the application. The Federal High Court reviewed the evidence on both sides and found that there was reason for it to release the case. Okay,
can you just briefly, like you said, the case was released and then certain privileges were restored, according to you?
No, the case was released and the Federal High Court restored all the orders made by it.
Okay, but they went to the appeal court and got a judgment at the appeal court.
Appeal court said that the Federal High Court had no power to release the matter, and the Federal High Court had no power to restore the orders made by it, including the order removing the president executive.
All right.
The Federal High Court was wrong, so the case Giwa fashion now proceeded to the Supreme Court.
All right. So what now? Go on.
At the Supreme Court, when I was in court, like I said earlier, I was in court when the judgment was delivered, although it's not available yet. Okay. The Supreme Court resolved all the issues raised by the appellants, the case Giwa fashion, in favor of the appellants, and held that the power of the Federal High Court to release the matter included the power to restore all these previous orders. That even the power to release and the power to restore the orders were within the discretionary powers of the Federal High Court, and the Court of Appeal had no jurisdiction or power to interfere with that of that discretion. So, in effect, the Supreme Court allowed the appeal on the 7th of April and affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court restoring the orders. So, the effect of this, in simple language, is that those orders of the Federal High Court, taking aside the current executive of the NFF, still subsist pending the determination of the main case. So the Supreme Court sent us back to the Federal High Court to complete the main case. But while we are pursuing the case before the Federal High Court, those orders made by the Federal High Court were validly restored, including the order recognizing the dual fashion and the order setting aside the Pinnick election.
Okay, but we are
happened.
Okay, we are meant to believe that, according to Festus Keyamo, they say that Chambers and Reza came out, that the Supreme Court specifically refused the prayers of Giwa and his supporters that the Supreme Court should determine the whole case and remove Ahmadu Pinnick from office. That means that prayer was refused specifically.
No. That is a clear case of distortion of facts. The facts were distorted. Okay. What the Giwa fashion asked the Supreme Court to do was to exercise its general powers and hear the case as if it were a trial court. Okay. The Supreme Court said no, we should go back to the Federal High Court and conclude the matter. But in the interim, while we are still going back to conclude the case, those orders made by the Federal High Court were validly restored, and they are still subsisting.
All right. Okay.
It's very simple.
All right. Thank you very much, Barrister Chinedu Eze.